Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are known as the Abrahamic family of religion because the origin story of Abraham is central to each of them. Abraham's story takes place in Israel, specifically the old city of Jerusalem, where today all three religions live side by side. Although they are united by the land, they live in distinct quarters and do not tend to get along. All three traditions identify their deity as the God of Abraham. In Judaism's sacred text, the Hebrew Bible, Abraham is presented as the foundational figure. He is the one who followed the commandments of God no matter what the task. Abraham is also the most mentioned historical figure in the New Testament, Christianity's most sacred text. He is the one who was rewarded for his faith. The Quran, Islam's sacred text, mentions Abraham more than any other figure. For Muslims, he's the one who demonstrated submission to the one God. Abraham means father of many. Jerusalem has been conquered, destroyed, and rebuilt time and time again, each layer of the earth revealing a remarkable piece of history. The old city is a maze of narrow alleyways and historic architecture that homes four quarters: Christian, Armenian, Muslim, and Jewish. It is surrounded by a fortress-like stone wall and encloses some of the holiest sites in the world. Each quarter represents its own communities and religion. The Armenian quarter is the second Christian quarter, as Armenia was the first country in the world that adopted Christianity. This quarter is the smallest of the four and one of the oldest Armenian centers in the world. They have been able to preserve the unique culture and civilization within the church and its community, as it consumes most of the quarter. The Church of St. James is dedicated to two martyred saints of that name: St. James the Great, one of the first apostles to follow Jesus, and St. James the Less, believed to be a close relative of Jesus, who becomes the first bishop of Jerusalem. Church is also one of the most ornately decorated places of worship in the Holy Land. The interior, under the vaulted dome, offers a splendid spectacle of altars, chandeliers, marad lamps, ceramic eggs, paintings, carved wood, mother-of-pearl, bronze engravings, and blue and green wall tiles. The marble floor is also usually covered with purple, green, or red carpets. Inside the Christian quarter lies the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, a site which is central to the story of Jesus, his death, crucifixion, and his resurrection. According to most Christian traditions, Jesus was crucified there. His tomb is located inside the sepulchre and, again, was the site of his resurrection. It is one of the main pilgrimage destinations for Christians worldwide who visit and pray at the empty tomb of Jesus Christ. The church is managed jointly by representatives of different Christian denominations, mainly the Greek Orthodox, Roman Catholic Church, and the Armenian Patriarchate, but also by the Ethiopians, Coptics, and the Syrian Orthodox Church. The Muslim quarter is the largest of the four and contains the shrine of the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque on a plateau known to Muslims as Haram al-Sharif, otherwise known as the Noble Sanctuary or the Temple Mount. The mosque is the third holiest site in Islam and is under the administration of an Islamic trust called the Waqf. Muslims believe the Prophet Muhammad traveled here from Mecca during his night journey and prayed with the souls of all the prophets. A few steps away, the shrine of the Dome of the Rock holds the foundation stone where Muslims believe Muhammad then ascended to heaven. Muslims visit the holy site all year round, but every Friday during the holy month of Ramadan, hundreds of thousands of Muslims come to pray at the mosque. The Jewish quarter is home to the Kotel, or the Western Wall, a remnant of the retaining wall of the mount on which the Holy Temple once stood. Inside the temple was the Holy of Holies, the most sacred site in Judaism. It is also known as a small sanctuary where God was present. Jews believe that this was also the location of the foundational stone from which the world was created and where Abraham prepared to sacrifice his son Isaac. Today, the Western Wall is the closest place Jews can pray to the Holy of Holies. It is managed by the rabbi of the Western Wall and every year hosts millions of visitors. Jews from all over the world visit this place to pray and connect with their heritage, especially during the high holidays. Here you can see my first time visiting and my most recent. Israel's Declaration of Independence, issued in 1948, describes the country as a Jewish state, but extends religious freedoms to all of its inhabitants by stating the State of Israel will ensure complete equality of social and political rights to all its inhabitants, irrespective of religion, race, or sex. It will guarantee freedom of religion, conscience, language, education, and culture. It will safeguard the holy places of all religions. Israel's Protection of Holy Places Law of 1967 allows people of all faiths access to the country's holiest sites. In fact, Israel's law mandates that everyone, regardless of religious affiliation, has the right to visit all holy places within Israel. This does not include the Temple Mount. Although this sounds good so far, sharing the sacred land between three monotheistic faiths has many challenges and has resulted in little progress and not enough creative thinking. On one hand, the State of Israel, again, grants freedom of religion to all of its citizens and offers religious services to all major religious communities. The other hand is that most people in these different religions do not know much about each other and rarely encounter one another. According to the Pew Research Center, one of the strongest indications of the major fractures in Israeli society is that roughly half of Israeli Jews, 48%, say Arabs should be transferred or expelled from Israel, while a similar share of 46% disagree with this completely. In addition, Israeli Jews and Arabs disagree on whether the country can be a Jewish state and a democracy at the same time. Religiously motivated violence and pressure have been the single greatest deterrent to the progress of peace in the Middle East in the last several decades, many of which have occurred in Jerusalem. In the present atmosphere of mutual hostility and suspicion, which continues as a part of the ongoing, unresolved political conflict, religious leaders in Jerusalem could dictate themselves to having a positive impact on the people. Their efforts could potentially help reduce the violence and increase the chances that people will learn to live in harmony. Today, there is an Inter-Religious Coordinating Council in Israel, founded in 1991, as an umbrella organization to foster dialogue, education, and mutual understanding among the members of the religious communities in Israel. It is extremely well known now and comprises over 70 Christians, Muslims, and Jewish institutions, including Jewish-Arab coexistence, organizations, museums, universities, and other monumental interreligious organizations. Israel definitely has its challenges, religious, political, and social, as well as the old city of Jerusalem, and even the history of the land had its own challenges. However, I think we can learn a lot about these three religions living side by side. We can learn how to respect our neighbors while also learning the importance of learning from your neighbor. Through education and working together, I hope that Jerusalem and Israel can embody and integrate the teachings of these religions and traditions kept alive by this beautiful old city. I know that as a Jew, I feel spiritually connected to Israel, and I understand that Christians and Muslims feel this same connection. There's a lot of work to do, but I hope that in the future, Israel and Jerusalem can work with its neighbors to unite these religious people and just maybe create the next convivencia.